Hey, it's Andre. It's time for another Friday flying update, and as you can see, the bench is full, and it's full for a reason, because last weekend I went flying for the first time in 5 or 6 weeks and had a fantastic time. Burned through battery after pack, and one of the stars from the weekend was this build. This is the Flight Test Mini Aero. My particular application is a 2S application, kept it nice and light. We're talking under 220 grams with a big old 9X receiver in there. I've actually put the 9X in there because I'm hoping James will fly with me, so I've got it set up for buddy box. If he decides not, I'll go and put an orange 410 in there and get even lighter. This was my first flight test scratch build kit from start to finish, and it was a really nice experience. A couple things I made changes to is I put some paper in and another piece of foam just to help keep the height proper, and a stick there just to keep the reinforcement. She started the day off with some weights in the nose and ended up just taking them completely off. That's a multi-star 1704 1900 kV spinning a 6x4 prop DAL 15 amp ESC, and I use a 2S 500 and get about 4 minutes or more, and like wide open throttle. The battery doesn't get warm or nothing, and it's a hoot to fly. Like 20% expos, 70% throw, and you just zing the thing around. You know, in 2S you really do have to keep the throttle up and everything, but it's a really fun aircraft, so small, and if you do scratch build without the kit, it's like 16 pages and like 2 pieces of foam, right? It is a super fast build, super fun. One of my viewers on Instagram, Luke Sewing, I think I got your last name, Luke. I will put the link into his product page anyhow on his profile page in the video. Anyhow, he sent me some carbon fiber bits, which are going to go on to the 3S bird. And look at that. So wing plates, belly protector, and which are really cool, little carbon fiber horn receivers. Look at that, control horns. That's gonna be so cool. As well as another viewer on my YouTube page sent me design plans for a 3D printed center cage. So Martin's actually coming over this evening to drop off a couple that he made for me, and those will allow me to run 3S 1300s, maybe even 2200s if I was crazy enough, put the camera pod and everything. It'll just give me a little bit more space because you can't put a 3S into this thing without really compromising the foam. So I'm looking forward to that. So that is going to be fun. I'm going to have 2 of these birds flying around and having a really good time. Speaking of FPV, the other big project will be to very shortly build the FT Explorer. So I'm going to pull the camera rig that was in the skipper and put that in there. And after seeing some really nice examples on the flight test forum, I'm going to put lights into it, and that plane will probably come with me to Flight Fest. So we're looking forward to that. The big build and repair job came on Saturday evening after I got this airplane in the air on Saturday. It was flying really odd, and when I came down to land, it was lots of carnage and everything. What I had discovered was in the battery bay, snow and water had gotten underneath the battery area and really, just destroyed the paper and everything. So the whole thing was just sloppy and floppy. So I brought it in, reinforced the bottom with a new piece of foam, put some extra pieces into the foam to stiffen up the wing, put in a little bit of a brace inside, and then got some core ply going and covered up, made new hatches, made some reinforcements in the front to protect the camera, and this really changed the aircraft. So on Sunday we threw it up in the air and it flew fantastic. After a couple line of sight flights, I worked up the courage and went FPV for the first time since like late 2014. Basically 2015 was a little bit of multi-rotor and some of that little UMX FPV vapor, so not really fixed wing per se. So with my dad there as a spotter and my other buddy Steven on his goggles, we had a great time. My Fat Shark's teleporter V3s fogged up like right away, and that's because I was out of practice and forgot to let them heat up and acclimatize. So I could still see what I was doing and fly around and deal with everything, but it was the finer details on landing that I relied on Steven just to talk me through and talk me in, because there were some posts and everything that I did not want to hit. So my dad really enjoyed working with the 7-inch display because he tossed the plane in the air, then walked over to the car, grabbed his plane, and was able to track me and go. So with the OSD, we'll be able to monitor the battery. That alarm does work, and you can actually hear it in the video near the end as I'm punching the power up. So on the FPV front as well, working with the Quantum V2 case, and those are my Quantum V1s that James wears. We're working on pushing the display out a bit so we get a little bit of resolution. If I could get that thing out far enough, I wouldn't need that Fresnel lens. And I know Hobby King just released a version 2 upgrade kit, which I might look into as well, which has got a better plastic lens. On the ground station, I've ordered another 4-inch display. And that's going to let me take the receiver, the DVR, and package that into something I can hang on my tripod or put on top of the car and let me just, go autonomously and not have wires running between the displays and everything. So I'm really looking forward to that. Now, the project this weekend used to get the EFX Racer back into flying status. I kind of left it alone after a crash in the fall, and that's partially due to the wingtips and a few other things. I was reading a little quote on the Tundra page from the RC group, and someone mentioned using a beanbag to heat up parts and areas to try and restore it. So if you remember, this poor wing was subjected to a lot of heat in Ohio at Flight Fest last year, and I did a fair bit of effort to try and restore it, but it's still got some warping and some pretty bad spots. I will try and replace it. They're currently out of stock, but if I can get this thing back into order, reset the motor, check everything out, fix up a few little punches here and there, and the elevator and so on, I will go flying with this plane tomorrow because the weather's finally nice enough. It is windy, but this plane can handle the wind and then some. But the weather's finally warm enough that my hands won't freeze up. So really looking forward to it. Tomorrow morning, podcast with the boys. So that'll be Mike, Chris, Wayne, and myself. Probably 8:30 in the morning or so. So tune in. Probably going to go live on YouTube, we're thinking. And then going to go flying. And also, check out flightfest.com. Austin and the crews have really been working around. They've announced their learning sessions, which are really cool. I'm really impressed with what they've done. It's going to be a really busy July, we're thinking. And our good buddy David from Sweden is coming out to Flight Fest as well. So, if you're having any fun flying this weekend, be safe, have a great time. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for watching. Cheers.